everybody, this is Strategywizard again, and today I'm going to be doing a review of Not Alone. This is a space one versus all game. One person is the creature trying to find the hapless humans who crash landed on this planet, and everyone else, they're the humans trying to survive. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but it's designed by, I think, Ghislain Masson. Just go ahead and hopefully maybe you can read that. And it's published by Stronghold games. I also see Geek Attitude games over here. Has the Dice Tower seal of approval for anyone who really wants to know about that. And I'm just going to say this game, it's unique precisely because it's one versus all, and I don't have a lot of games like that, but usually a game like that I would tend to think would be a traitor mechanism maybe, or hidden roles. But here it's just this guy's the bad guy, everyone else is the good guy. Can the bad guy overcome? So let's go and go to the table. We'll look at how to play, and then I'll tell you what I think. Okay, so here we have a setup for 3 players. One player is the bad guy, the monster. He's going to have these 3 tokens. Every other player is going to be a good guy, and they're going to have a hand of cards that's going to let them decide where they're going to start hiding at the beginning. Because what's happened here, our good guys have crash landed. They're hapless humans who they just messed up. They ended up on the wrong planet, and now they're being hunted by a monster, an evil creature that only wants to destroy them. And basically what happens is the good guys are constantly trying to hide. They will play these cards simultaneously face down. They'll choose one of them. You'll notice that at the starting hand has locations 1 through 5. Down here we have locations 1 through 10. Now, in order to get the other cards, you have to be able to use the ability of this number 5, the rover, to take one of the extra cards here. Actually, in a 3-player game, you'd have 2 of each card up here. I didn't get that. Get those cards out. But the point is, the other cards will be up here available to put into your hand. So it's not really deck building so much, because it's just more like hand building. It gives you more options of where you can hide, which is very important, because the bad guy, while the good guys, they can't show what they're going to do to each other, but they can talk about it and bluff or whatever. But they're working together, but they can't say, hey, they can't show their card and say, I'm going to go to 1. They can say that, but not show the card, and then they'll secretly and simultaneously play these cards down. So, one of them might have gone here, one of them might have gone here. Then the bad guy is going to have his turn. No matter what, the bad guy always gets to play, okay, that's pathetic. The bad guy always gets to play this token. Now, all these tokens, it seems like, oh gosh, how do you know what all those do? Well, fortunately, you have this nice little handy-dandy player reference. It shows you the game turns, which are the phases of exploration where the good guys place their card, or they can also resist or give up, which has to do with these will tokens. If you're running out of cards, because after you play them, you discard them, you can get rid of a will token to get 2 cards from your discard pile, or you can get rid of 2 to get 4. But if you ever lose all your will tokens, then that means that you give up, just emotionally, I guess, and you get all your will tokens back, but the bad guy gets closer to winning, so that's a bad thing. But you get all your cards back, and that's wonderful. So sometimes you have no choice but to give up. But it's a good and bad thing. It's one of those things that sometimes it's just a necessary evil at some points. But so you might resist or give up to get cards back. You might play. You have to play a card. Then phase 2 is hunting. You place the hunt tokens. Those are the bad guy gets to place these. Then in phase 3 you have the reckoning, which is the good guys reveal their place cards and apply the effect. So each location has a special ability, and that's what the good guys are trying to go for. But the problem is, and I'll show you in a second, phase 4, end of turn, you discard the place cards and take back the hunt tokens, blah, 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 blah. You draw hunt cards up to 3. That means the bad guy always has 3 of these lovely, devastating hunt cards. So the good guys have made their choice. They have these locations that they want to go to. The bad guy has this hand. It's always, well, I got too many. He always has 3 cards, and he can play 1, and then at the end he'll draw 1, but he doesn't have to play 1, but he can only ever have as much as 3. And they have wonderful things like this. Prevent the rescue counter moving forward during this phase. Now what that means is, at the end of every single turn, no matter what happens, this counter will move forward, and if it meets the star, the good guys win. So there's an inevitable point where the good guys will win. The game's going to end eventually no matter how well the bad guy performs. But playing this card makes it to where the good guys, they're not going to get to move this up at the end of that turn, which is very bad for the good guys because they want that thing to keep moving as much as possible. And then he might have, oh, that's an expansion card. I'll talk about that later. Tracking. Next turn, you may play up to 2 hunt cards. So that way you can actually get more deadly stuff done. Or in this case, the hunted caught by the creature token lose 1 extra will, which is extremely devastating. Because here's the thing. Our wonderful little reference card, it tells us what these do. And this is the creature token. It makes, if you catch somebody, what will happen is you'll place this on a location. Let's just say that's what happened. Let's reveal at this point. Good guy here is going to number 3. That's where he's hiding. This guy's going to number 5. In this case, the bad guy messed up. He failed to find out where the good guys were hiding. Bummer for him, because his token does not move closer. This is the assimilation token. Whenever the assimilation token gets to the star, the bad guy wins. He doesn't get any closer if he misses. So in this case, the good guys get to use their special abilities on their cards, which is really that'd be a great round for the good guys. But let's just say the bad guy did this. This guy is in trouble because he went to 3 and the bad guy also went to 3 looking for him. If, in this case, the good guy would lose 1 will cube, he would also not be able to use the ability because the place would be ineffective, and you'd move the assimilation token forward, which means the bad guy's getting closer to winning. So every time he catches someone with that token, that's devastating. However, you also have these other 2 tokens that the bad guy can play, but only in certain circumstances. Now you'll notice on this board, this Artemia symbol is on some of these slots. So as this moves along, if it's in an Artemia slot, the bad guy can place this. If he's successful, let's say he placed that over here. Wow, he got both of them. But in this case, number 5, all that happens is the place is ineffective, and the good guy that you caught, or good guys, has to discard a place card, which means that their hand is going to run out quicker, which means they're going to have to use their will to get more cards back, because the bad guy always gets to see the cards in your discard pile, so they know what cards you have left available to play. And that makes it to where the chances of them catching you get greater and greater, and it's pretty scary, to be honest. So, also, the target one, basically, that's one that you can play whenever you play certain cards. It'll give the bad guy the ability to play the target, and basically, if you succeed, you use it says hunt card effect, then use the place's power, or take back 1 discarded place card. So, what that means is, see, normally, and I oftentimes forget this when I play this game, you can always use the place's power whenever you go there, but instead of using the power, if you don't want to use the power, you can take back a discarded place card to build your hand back up, which is helpful to keep yourself from, being limited to where you can go. But the hunt card that placed this, that happens first, and it can have a variety of effects. It just depends on the card that the bad guy played. But really, that is the meat of the game. The good guys do have this nice deck of cards here. They'll start off with 1, and they can be pretty powerful. Like this, this says, instead of using the power of your place card, copy the power of an adjacent place. That's huge, because you might have played the 3, but you really wanted to use one of these 2 abilities. Well, with that, you can go somewhere that maybe the creature won't expect you to go, but you use that to use the power of the place you really wanted to go in the first place. I mean, some of these cards, let's look at another one. During a resist action, that's whenever you toss a will to be able to get 2 place cards back, take back 1 extra place card for each will counter forfeited. So that means instead of getting 2 cards, you get 3 cards for each cube you discard. That's huge, because keeping your hand full of cards keeps the bad guy from really narrowing down where you're going. So that's really the game. The game is the bad guy trying to guess where you're hiding, and whenever he does, it's huge for him. It's this constant battle of wits of him trying to predict what will they go for. Are they going to go for what's going to help them the most, or are they just going to go for somewhere that's not as helpful, trying to hide from me? And you'll notice let's get back to the starting. There's way more spots for the good guys to travel than the bad guys. So the bad guy has way fewer spaces to go, but they don't always move up on their track. They have to catch the opponent, or they have to give up by losing all their will counters to get more cards. The good guys, they're constantly moving up all the time. And in the case of the Beach's ability, if at the beginning, you'll have this little yellow disc here. If you succeed in going to the beach, you discard this, and you immediately move the rescue ship closer, which means that you're going to be rescued one turn sooner than you otherwise would be. Now, if you went back to the beach again, all you do is bring this back, but then the next time you go, you can remove it again. So the good guys have a way of accelerating the already inevitable victory that they have coming. Their rescue ship's coming to save them, and they are working hard to accelerate it as much as they can, and using the rover to get more cards so they can hide in these other locations. But the bad guy knows this. The monster knows, hey, they're trying to get more cards. That's a huge one. Maybe I should always place this on the rover, but if you're too predictable, the good guys will never go there. So you have to have this balance of trying to predict. So really, I should just go ahead and end this portion, because that really is the game. I'm not going to worry about going over what each different card does, but that is the meat of the game. Trying to use those abilities as the good guys to maximize and be as efficient as possible, and the bad guy trying to guess where they're going. So let's go ahead and go up top. I will tell you what I think about this game. Okay, so Not Alone is definitely a unique game. The way that you're trying to guess, the bad guy's trying to guess where the good guys are hiding, and at times getting to place several tokens and use these powerful cards that help him catch them in different ways and hurt them. And then the good guys, they don't get cards nearly as much, but they're there, and there's certain locations they can go to get more cards. I mean, there's just this constant battle and struggle trying to surprise people with special abilities and whatnot. And I just have to say that it is a really good game. I'm going to tell you how good in a second. I'm just excited about this one because I played it several times when I first got it, and for whatever reason, hadn't played it much for a little while. And then I played it again, and I was just, wow. I forgot how good it was. I really did. I knew I liked it, but man, I forgot how much. Now, here's the thing. Replayability, to me, in this game is huge because, to me, first of all, a one versus all is already interesting because I like the way how everyone's working together trying to, somehow either bluff their way out of being caught or use reverse psychology. All these things are trying to manipulate the one other person so they can't figure out where they're going to hide. But being the bad guy, who I typically play, I've played both sides, but I typically play the bad guy, it's exciting trying to read the minds of your opponents and trying to figure out what are they trying to do, where are they really trying to go to hide. And it's just a thrilling experience. The replayability, it's just, for one, you can play both sides. That adds tons already. But the fact that, every game, that battle of wits and trying to figure out, what they're going to do, it's always interesting. I don't see it getting old anytime soon, just because I just like that mechanic is very exciting because you have so many options that you can take, and with the high player count you can do such a range, and that's awesome. But replayability is awesome. Strategically, I think there's, this is one of those games where strategy maybe isn't as much at the forefront because it's not like you're moving pieces and trying to make decisions like that, but it's a psychological strategy more than anything else. Can you manipulate your opponent? Can you predict what they're thinking? Can you read their mind? But it's not luck-based either. It's just that psychological battle that's going on, and there's no dice, none of those kind of things. So as I would say, strategically it's high because of that, because it's not luck. It's just not known information that you are able to make maneuvers. It's somewhere in that gray area, but it's a gray area that I think is great, especially for those who don't want too much luck in their games, because this isn't luck, it's just guessing what your opponent's going to do and trying to figure that out. And ultimately, this game gets a 9 out of 10 from me. I mean, it's so good. Just the way it feels whenever you're trying to make those decisions, and whenever your opponent, as the bad guy, whenever your opponents actually make it to the rover and they actually get an extra one of these the 6 through 10 cards to add to their hand, it's devastating, but it's fun because it just gives you one more thing to make you want to push harder and try to figure out where they're going. And even though and again, I just want to remind everyone, the bad guy starts off closer to winning. So don't think that the bad guy has almost no chance of winning. He really does, because if he's playing his cards right, literally, and really thinking about where the opponents might go, he can do a lot and do some serious damage. It's one of those things where, you know, it can feel a little hopeless sometimes because your opponent makes it to the beach and they get rid of that token and it moves the rescue ship closer, and you're going, oh no, they have one less turn, they have to try to, you know, survive before they win, or they get to the rover, they get another ship, all these great things. But I'm going to tell you, the cards that the bad guy has, oh wow, like this one, Forbidden Zone. All hunted discard one place card simultaneously. Right off the bat, all the good guys, they lose a card, which means that the bad guy knows more about where they could possibly go. Huge! This one, it gives you the ability to play the Artemia token, which before, as I told you, you can only use it at certain times based on the board. This lets you use it even if you couldn't otherwise. Force one hunted to show you all but 2 place cards from his hand. That makes it to where you can choose someone to really limit the places that they could actually, well, you don't limit them, but it makes sure you know more about, oh, sorry, it's in phase 2 that you play this card, which means after they've played their card, you get to see all but 2 of them, which means if they had a lot of cards, it will tell you something about what card they actually secretly placed down. That's hugely powerful. So many good things that the bad guy can do, and as the good guys, sometimes you're just creeped out because you don't know what kind of card the creature might play, and sometimes that card can just be gut-wrenching. But on the other side, the good guys, even though they don't have as many cards, but those cards can come in really handy, and if they do have one, they can pull some surprises on the creature in a way that just it sends the creature spinning. So I love the way that works, and there's so many cards. I mean, you have tons of these cards, and you're not going to go through half of them in several games because the good guys hardly ever go through their cards. The bad guy goes through his cards fairly quickly, but it's just that variety. It's just, whoa, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10. I just can't say enough wonderful things about it. The components are great. Oh, I meant to say that at the beginning. Component quality, awesome. I mean, these little wooden things aren't just great or special, but they get the job done as markers. The cards have a great linen finish to them, and these tokens are a nice poker chip type quality. Love it, love it, love it, love it. One last thing I want to say, this board is double-sided. The bad guy gets to choose which side, and the only thing that really matters is the original side that I showed you, the Artemia tokens kind of alternate. Here on the other side, they're all at the end, which means as the good guys get close to winning, suddenly you can place the Artemia token every single turn. Now that makes it to where any cards that would let you play the Artemia token are suddenly less useful, but still it's a way of making sure that as they get close, you can start playing 2 tokens guaranteed every single turn. The original creature token that you can always do, and the Artemia token. It's just awesome. It's a great game. I would go buy it. If you think that if this seems at all interesting to you, I think you should have this in your collection. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll get back with you. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. If you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up or subscribe if you want to see more videos that I've done. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.